All Access Entertainment Fan Fest, New England Fan Fest, Saturday morning here at the Crown Plaza. Special Q&A session with the host of Action Zone back on the USA Network, Mr. Charlie Minn. Welcome to New England Fan Fest.
Thank you for having me.
I think it's great to see you in, we got the big room set up. You're going to see some old friends, and it's going to be a great day here. So we got a little Q&A here for All Access Entertainment. I want to start with, tell us about your childhood and where you grew up.
Wow, sure. I was born in Boston. Dorchester is where I grew up for the first couple of years, which is right in Boston, practically. So people wonder why I'm such a big Bruins, Celtics, Red Sox, Patriots fan, and it was because of my origin. And then we moved to Brooklyn, and I became a New Yorker, unfortunately. I'm not a big fan of New York. I'll just get right to it. I keep things real. I'm not politically correct. I just say what I feel. No filter in me. Yeah, that's so pretty much my upbringing is Boston, New York. So I guess I'm perfect for the New England.
You just took my words.
Just to be in this area. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Connecticut, so this whole region.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you here. When did you first discover pro wrestling? When did you first really get hooked?
I would say right around 1980. I'll never forget as a kid. I think I had a black and white TV. Channel 9, WWOR, Vince McMahon, Saturday night, midnight. I remember turning it on, and they would always have this aqueduct horse racing show right before it. I thought it was boringest thing, the horse racing part, I mean. So I think they had it from 11:30 to midnight, and I would turn it on like at 11:55, and I'd be like, get this crap off. Let's get to the wrestling. And so it was from midnight to 1 o'clock. I'll never forget it. It was like a tradition. Saturday night, that was like my Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
I was a kid. What did I know? I couldn't go out. I wasn't 21, and I don't drink anyway, so I would watch it. I was fascinated by it. You know, as a kid growing up, it's amazing the influence Vince McMahon can have on a kid's imagination. You almost have to be careful because, you know, Vince has been described in so many different ways, dangerous even, sort of like Oliver Stone as a filmmaker, writing scripts like Midnight Express and Scarface. So he was one of my first real influences, Vince McMahon, and to be honest, I'm not even sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I gotcha. That makes sense. So when did you actually start? Actually, I'm going to add a little something to the list of questions I got. What did you do in broadcasting before starting with the WWF, or was that your first broadcasting?
It was my fourth, actually. I worked in local news as a sportscaster prior to WWF. Came out of college. My first job was in Missouri in television in '91. And then in '92, I went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, which is where Brett Favre grew up. And then I went to Albuquerque in '93. And then I went to Vince, Stamford, Connecticut, WWF at the time, in '94, and that was right after Vince got off his steroid trial.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We all remember that.
Oh yeah.
So what were your day-to-day responsibilities or duties with WWF?
I was the host of Action Zone, and I was doing live event cut-in to promote wrestling venues coming to all different parts of the country. I remember it was very stressful. I worked literally over 100 hours a week. I would sometimes sleep at Titan Tower in Stamford. I wouldn't even go back to my apartment in Manhattan. Sometimes the company would be nice enough to put us up in a nice hotel in Stamford. Other times I would literally sleep in the locker room. Wow. I'm not even joking, yeah. I mean, I was exhausted, and for me to go all the way, trek back to Manhattan, get up, come back. I remember when the few times I slept at Titan Tower, I was like, this helps in terms of fatigue, in terms of convenience, that boom, I would wake up and I'm right there.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
Well, it's those localized promos, like the stuff you and I probably grew up watching, 1980. They would film those, you know, after the TV tapings or before the TV tapings in Hamburg and Allentown, PA. Now here you are in a studio, 100 hours a week. It's absolutely insane.
It was an impossible situation
Right.
for me to pass my probation, my probationary period because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're not robots. We're human beings.
Sure.
And I mean, I have a lot of energy now, but can you imagine in my 20s
Yeah.
my energy level? So if I had a second crack at it, would I do anything differently? Honestly, no. I have no regrets. I took the job. I almost couldn't believe that I was working for Vince McMahon 14 years after growing up as a kid, watching those midnight shows in Hamburg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, would you film multiple? You do Action Zone once a week. You'd shoot that.
Yeah, that was actually, we did Look, what do they call it? Look Live? We did a Look
Yeah.
Live, and then we would also be at the venue.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, what was your relationship like with Vince McMahon?
I wish I would have had more interaction with him, like WWF, and I almost compare WWF to ESPN. They got too big, so now there's more layers. But I think Vince, in spirit, will always have that mom and pop type of mentality to a degree. Yes, he became corporate. Yes, they went public. But I will say this about Vince. He's a nice guy. He's approachable. You could totally approach him. He doesn't have this billionaire attitude like I'm better than you. Oh, you can't come up to me. You got to make an appointment, or you have to talk to a middle person. He's actually very approachable, and his son Shane was like that too. Shane and I both went to Boston University, not at the same time. We didn't know each other at BU, but Shane was basically the guy that coached me on the side. He was like the first main, because we're about the same age, and this was before anyone even knew Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
And Stephanie wasn't even around at the time. I think Stephanie might have been in high school when I started.
So, how long were you actually how long were you employed by the WWF?
4 months. Yeah, it was short. It felt longer because of the hours involved and because, I guess, the impression I made. But to this day, I can't believe this. Just 30 years later, I still people remember me, and at this point, I'm just going with it. I know. 94 is when I started in September. I think they called it the new generation.
Yeah.
Vince wanted a fresh start because of the whole steroid thing. I mean, the guy could have lost his liberty.
Yeah.
The guy was in trouble.
Absolutely.
And he got through that. Good for him. And then by December 94, I was out of there.
Wow. In and out.
Yeah.
Who was easy to work with there?
Owen Hart was my best friend there. I mean,
Wow.
the worst thing that happened to Owen Hart was that they tried to reinvent him to the Blue Blazer. I mean, Vince has had better days than that. And then
Okay.
obviously the tragedy in, I think it was in Kansas City,
Yes.
Kemper Arena. I mean, I think a lot of people thought at first it was a stunt and this was planned.
Yeah.
Some things in life are not planned, even though you think they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the WWF, they've had their share of mishaps, and not just that, but other people breaking their necks and whatnot.
Sure.
I think Shawn Michaels was involved in an incident, Marty Jannetty, I believe. So there's definitely been some low moments over there.
I don't think it get much lower than
The death, yeah.
in at the Kemper Arena for sure.
Yeah.
When did you first start making documentaries?
2009, I sold my first movie to Lionsgate, a movie called Nightmare in Las Cruces, and I got really lucky where my documentary filmmaking career took off because of streaming.
Great. That's great.
So I got 30 movies on Amazon Prime, so I've actually doing a lot better now than I did when I was with Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even close, actually.
A lot more longevity too.
Well, yeah, that, and I can't fire myself, which is good, and then you have streaming, which is basically taken over. I mean, who has basic cable today?
Yeah. It's money down the drain. So what are some of your favorite projects that you've done or that you're working on?
I'm working on now about fentanyl. Fentanyl, 150 Americans are dying per day from it. Per
Yeah.
day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's become the deadliest opioid on the market, and I mean, I can go right down the line. How many people have died from it? Prince, Tom Petty, the rapper Coolio, Major League Baseball pitcher Tyler Skaggs was found in his hotel room in Dallas. He was a pitcher for the Angels. Robert De Niro's grandson, just a couple of weeks ago. The list is going on and on and on. Anytime anyone ODs, chances are it's fentanyl, and chances are they're not going to make it. So, but most of my films deal with crime, mass shootings, which happens every day in our country. We're in big trouble right now in our country with mass shootings, gun violence, and this is not a political issue. This is a humanity issue.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. That has nothing to do with it. This is a humanity problem. Where
Absolutely.
innocent people are getting killed.
Yeah.
That's all I'm looking at. I wish people would stop politicizing it. I'm talking from a human being, from a family. We're in trouble.
I agree. I have 17-year-old twins. I'm terrified every day.
Really?
Absolutely. There's the environment, what the kids are doing these days. I always tell my son, don't get into fights because people don't fight to hurt somebody. Now it's like,
Yeah,
try
I
and
mean,
kill people.
I live in Manhattan and I walk down the street. I'm like, I don't know these people.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. I don't trust them. I don't
Yeah.
know them.
Yeah, it's a scary world we live in. So you said you have 30 documentaries on Amazon Prime right now?
And other streaming platforms.
That was my next question was, where else, what other platforms can people see the work of
you know,
Charlie
there's
Minn?
so many platforms now. I lost track. I have people, when they tell me they saw my movie, I'll usually ask them, oh, which platform? And there's all these platforms. Some of them I've never even heard of. I think there's over 40 now.
Wow.
Like Roku, Tubi. Anytime you see a plus, that's streaming.
Yeah.
Paramount, Apple.
Jeez.
I mean, you name it. I mean, there's just so many platforms today. So, yeah.
That's great. So other announcers that you may have worked with in the WWF, did you interact and,
Yeah, I had to. Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. I'll tell you, Randy Macho Man Savage, great guy.
yeah.
Another
God
early
rest his
another
soul.
early death. Yeah. There is a curse with WWF. We need to keep this real here. Too many people are dropping dead. Now Vince could defend it till he turns blue in the face, but the bottom line is, a lot of families have been devastated over these premature deaths. I got to admit, sometimes I think maybe it's a good thing I was only there 4 months. Maybe I would have been dead by now for some crazy reason. I'm just going by the results.
Sure.
I'm a result-driven guy. It's almost like sports. Just tell me who won and who lost.
Yeah.
I don't care what happened in the 4th inning. Just tell me who won, who lost, because that's how we're judged. And I work with Randy Macho Man Savage, Gorilla Monsoon, obviously Vince, Todd Pettengill, who I thought had probably the greatest voice I've ever heard in my life. To this day, some people are just born to do things. Like Wayne Gretzky was born to play hockey.
Sure.
Todd Pettengill was born to be on the radio.
Yeah.
He just has that voice. I mean, God blessed him with these pipes that I don't even know what he's doing today. But I remember back in the day in the 90s, it was Scott and Todd in the mornings on the radio.
Yep.
And, he was at WWF. I don't know for how long, but he was there longer than me. Everybody was there longer than me.
I didn't realize your career was that short there, but I mean, you're doing well and you're doing other stuff. You seem to enjoy what you're doing now, and
I mean, thankfully, I'm not dead, right?
of course.
Right. I mean, 30 years is a long time. When you haven't heard from someone in 30 years, you always fear that, are they still alive?
Yeah.
Because cancer gets half of us,
It's true, and like you said,
especially
with
pancreatic cancer.
yes, yeah.
That's
And-
how my dad passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Alex Trebek, I mean, as soon as I hear pancreatic cancer,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Nobody beats that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, let's change the mood. Do you ever keep in contact with anybody that you worked with in your short time with the WWF?
No. It's 30 years ago. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I don't do that by choice.
Sure.
I mean, if Vince McMahon walked into the room right now, we'd probably have a big hug.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and you said this is your first real fan fest meet and greet wrestling event that you've done.
Yeah, Nick Christie, who's an excellent promoter, he contacted me out of the blue about a year ago, maybe a little longer now. And to be frank, when I first heard about maybe getting involved with these things, I was kind of hesitant.
Sure.
because it was such a long time ago. And then I said to myself, you know, what the heck? I mean, it was a part of your life. You'll never be able to erase it, whether you want to or not. And I'm just kind of going with it. I'm like, let's just ride it out.
Yeah. I think today's going to be a fun day. You're going to see some familiar faces and meet some new faces and friends and fans from all around the New England area.
Yeah.
Going to be here today. So I think it's going to be an interesting day. Once we wrap this up, you can get to hang out with the great wrestling fans here in Rhode Island. We just got a couple more questions. Was there anybody that was difficult to work with when you were in the WWF?
Difficult to work with. You know, my only hard time there was just the hours. It really was. But in terms of the superstars and being at the shows, the live events, I can't recall not even one incident where something went south.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Any desire to get back into it?
I never say never. Thankfully, maybe because I'm Asian, but Asians age well. I mean, 30 years later, believe it or not, I still get carded.
Jeez.
Yeah. People
What's
look
the
at my
secret?
people look at my ID and they're like, "You got to be kidding me."
Yeah.
And they ask you, "What's your trick?" And I said, "A lot of sex." I guess I'm half joking. You know, when you're Asian, your hair stays black. Don't ask me how or why. Good genes.
Yeah.
Good genes. And I play a lot of sports. Love hockey. Love my Boston Bruins. Still traumatized over the first round exit after having that regular season that they did. I don't know if you followed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They had a record-breaking season. Then they
Yes.
got knocked out in the first round.
Yes.
It's like, I mean, no one in pro sports screws their fans over more than the Boston Bruins. They've won one Stanley Cup in 51 years. That's it. And
Yeah.
as I told you earlier, I'm result-driven.
Yeah.
Those are the results. If it wasn't for a guy by the name of Bobby Orr, the Bruins would be the laughing stock of pro sports, maybe.
I'm a Boston
Maybe
guy.
more than Toronto.
I'm a Boston guy, so I mean,
I don't need
mean,
to tell you.
No.
Yeah.
No, I've many years of heartache, waited for that first World Series.
Torturous, isn't
Oh
it?
my God. Oh my God. Yeah.
All four teams have won it recently.
Yeah.
But all four teams have also put you towards horror.
Oh God, yeah.
Horror.
Yeah. Pull your hair out sometimes, and but it's sports. I mean, it's actually a good segue. So.
At the end, that's how we have to take it. It's sports. It's not like life, human
No.
life, right?
We can't control it either.
No.
We
no,
can
we're
bet
just-
on it now.
The fans care, right? The fans care more than the players, I think.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. But I mean, even when the Red Sox are in last place, like I'm going to a game weekend after next, it's like even if they're in dead last place, there's still going to be 38,000 fans there.
By the way, how hot are they right now?
Right now?
Oh,
the
they've
best record in
They've
baseball.
won 5 in a row. They got a kid named Tristan Casas that no one can get out.
Yep.
Jared Duran is he might be the most exciting player in baseball right
Yeah,
now.
they're
His speed is he doesn't run, he burns. That kid.
he's something special, and their farm system, the Worcester Red Sox now, there's just a lot of great talent just working right through.
And here
They
we
moved-
are. Go ahead.
They moved from Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
I was just about to say that. It's a shame Pawtucket, with their culture, doesn't have a team anymore. That's
Yeah.
a shame.
Yeah.
That really is. I mean,
That
the
stadium-
the Paw Sox.
Yeah, the
How is there not a baseball team there?
McCoy Stadium was like a magical place. Plus, when you go to Fenway Park and you get a soda and a hot dog and something else, and it's like $35. You go there, it's like $8. It's a big difference. And they'd always have fireworks for the kids after the shows. But now they moved to Worcester.
And when I grew up, I remember they had that 33-inning game or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a famous game.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous. And I think, from what I understand, I think they're getting rid of the McCoy Stadium.
Well, I guess there's a lot of politics there. But
Yeah.
I remember Luis Aponte got the winner of the save at 2 in the morning that night. He gets home, and his wife asks him, "Where have you been?" And he goes, "I was pitching." And she goes, "You're lying."
She thought he was out with the boys.
Yeah, yeah. And even back then, without social media, I'm sure that's something easily the wife could look up.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. Small world, though. You being from Boston and
Born in Boston, yeah.
yeah. So we know the heartache of our Boston sports.
And the triumphs.
Yes, indeed. So sports and staying active. What are some of the other hobbies of Charlie Minn?
Traveling. filmmaking. I have just a tremendous sense of adventure. My friend out of nowhere told me, "Come visit me tonight in Block Island." I'm embarrassed by this. I never even heard of Block Island.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of Rhode Island person am I? But I'm not from here, so I guess I have an excuse.
No, it's fair
So
enough.
I'm supposed to go back to Manhattan tonight. He's trying to talk me into going to Block Island. It's called Block Island, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so I don't think I'm going to do it because I have to get home to family. But definitely, I can come back sometime in August to do it.
Yeah.
And take in a Red Sox game, maybe even a Patriots preseason game. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to reconnect with Boston more. I went to Boston University.
Yeah.
I said that earlier.
Yes, sir.
So it kind of reminds me of my youth, Boston. I mean, that's where it all started. I was named after the Charles River.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Love that dirty water.
Oh,
Boston,
man.
you're my home.
What's that? Whenever they win, that
Yeah.
dirty water thing.
Yeah. Dun,
Awesome.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
That's when you know Boston won.
Yeah. I just saw Bruce Springsteen at the Garden a few months ago, and obviously at the Boston Garden, and he played that song as part of his encore, and the place went nuts.
That and also shipping up to Boston.
Yes. Dropkick Murphys.
That's something else. I remember, like, right before the Bruins go on the power play, all of a sudden they'll call a timeout, and that song will come on,
Yeah.
and that's all you need.
Yeah.
That song alone will will the Bruins to a power play goal.
Yeah. And then when they score, you still get, like, I don't know if they're still playing the Ric Flair Woo when
Oh, I can't stand that. That's overdone.
it's overdone and it's
Yeah,
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Ric Flair will never die. That guy,
Oh, God.
how old is he?
I think he's 72, 73 now.
Okay.
So, I mean, he tempted fate years ago. He was, like, literally supposed to die, and nope, he kicked out. He was very sick. I can't remember what the exact...
I don't know how that body's been able to take that wear and tear.
No. And
I
that
mean-
lifestyle that he lived.
Just everything, yeah. His bouts with Harley Race, to me, are the most brutal wrestling matches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Harley Race, that guy, he was a brawler.
Yeah.
All the headbutts.
Yep.
I just don't know how a man like that lasted into his mid to late 70s.
That's
Because your
true.
body is not a machine.
Yeah. We had him here, I want to say in 2014 or 2015, we honored him as part of the New England Hall of Fame, and it was very late, not too long before he had passed, but he was in a wheelchair.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, so, but like you said, that headbutt, you know, you're jarring your spine. I mean, just the bumps he took. And think about Flair. How many times he do the slam off the top rope? You know, run up one side, come back down. This what they're putting their bodies through. It's something. But when you want to talk about tough guys, Harley Race.
Harley Race.
We were actually just me and some of my friends. We were just talking about last night, like how the business has changed. Where you see two wrestlers now, and they have a match, and then they take a picture together and they put it on Twitter. And I always say, what would Harley Race, Johnny Valentine, Wahoo McDaniel?
Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah. Or we got one of the toughest guys in that room right now. Haku's here today. So, you know, these legit tough guys. And
Right.
but man, you hit the nail on the head. The matches with Flair and Harley Race.
Nothing
epic.
like it. I would say Flair is the ultimate showman in sports entertainment.
Yes.
History.
Yes.
The ultimate showman.
And he's always Ric Flair 24/7.
Yeah, you can't beat his. I mean, it's only fitting his last name is Flair.
Yeah,
He had a flair.
he sure
Is
does.
that unbelievable? How his name fit him to a
Yeah.
to a T.
And the robes and the sequin jackets. And,
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
I think it was Johnny Walker, Mr. Wrestling 2's wife, I think, used to make Ric Flair's like $10,000 robes.
And it was blue, I believe, right?
He
The
had,
robe.
he had blue, he had red, he had pink. He would always have them. He was just,
So I'm a hockey fanatic. When I go to New Jersey Devils games,
Mm-hmm.
they always show him on the scoreboard in the third period.
oh yeah?
Yeah, and then for the rest of the period, everyone's yelling the Who chant.
Of course.
Oh, it's a little overdone.
You can't go to any WWE, AEW, whatever wrestling event, and before the first match even takes place, there's always one guy that's going to start that, woo, and then the whole place is doing
Right.
it. But
Well, when Dustin Pedroia retired, he had that night. Ric Flair was there
yeah,
because Pedroia is a huge Ric Flair fan.
yeah. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is.
Do you see the video where Big Papi never knew that Dustin Pedroia's name was Dustin.
That's right.
You used to just call him
And it
Pee-wee.
was only announced in the public address
Yeah.
system for how many years
Yeah,
they were
he said
together?
we played like, I don't know, 1,600 games together.
I saw that. That was a funny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just called him Pee-wee. That was amazing.
And now David Ortiz is a national broadcaster for Fox.
I love him.
So should we respect his journalism when he didn't even know who his
Yeah.
teammate was?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
David's not there for journalism, let's face it.
No. Anything with Big Papi is just, to me, it's straight up comedic gold. I love seeing him.
It's almost like just, okay, he's got a name, bring him in.
Yeah, he's a legend. He's a legend.
That grand slam he hit against Benoit will be with
Oh,
me
God.
forever. And he made a Hall of Fame career beating the Yankees.
Yeah,
2004 is unforgettable.
yeah.
Even 2003, he had a good playoffs against the Yankees. That guy was, when I interviewed him, I was a sportscaster in Hartford. I interviewed him when the Minnesota Twins sent him to New Britain. This is before anyone even knew him.
Yeah, single A, right?
I think it was Double A, the New Britain Rockettes.
Okay.
And David Ortiz did a rehab assignment there. And little did I know that I'd be standing next to a Hall of Famer. This is 2001, I believe. And little did I know that, and I've always had this thing about how Minnesota helps out Boston. Kevin Garnett went to the Celtics. David Ortiz went to the Red Sox. Randy Moss went to the Patriots. Manny Fernandez, a goalie, a long time ago, went to the Bruins. So there's a Minnesota to Boston connection that I think people have not been able to connect the dots.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
And
if
they're
you're
also-
Minnesota and you're an executive, don't pick up the phone and talk to a Boston executive because they're going to get you.
Yeah, and they always said that, like the Twins must have just been kicking themselves and we had that 1-2 punch of Big Papi and Manny Ramirez too.
Oh, that was incredible. Yeah, and sometimes they would hit third or fourth. They would switch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was those were the years.
those
really.
are special times.
Yeah, I think out of the four championships, I think people will always love four the most.
Yeah.
Because of the comeback against the Yankees, and because it was their first one since 1918.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 7, 13, and 18 were cool also.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like that first one.
Now we got Kurt Schilling to reverse the curse, remember? Or whatever.
Oh, with the bloody sock.
Yes.
You know, I saw a picture of him recently. I didn't even know that was him.
Oh yeah?
Oh, he doesn't look good.
No?
No.
That's
Doesn't look
unfortunate. That's
He
unfortunate.
should have been Asian. He would have aged better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would add nice black hair for the rest
Yeah,
of his
yeah.
life.
Exactly.
Oh, man. So, Charlie, first of all, thank you so much for the time. I know you had a short career with the WWF.
But memorable.
I was going to say memorable, but an opportunity that not a lot of people would have had, no matter how short it was. And you're in the encyclopedia. So,
Yeah, I know. You know, regardless of the length, I can't deny it will always be a part of me.
yeah.
And I never try to avoid it. If somebody wants to talk about it like this, I'm open to it.
Yeah.
It was a part of my life. I was so young. I almost was just kind of going with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing, looking back on it, almost feels surreal.
Yeah.
Like it didn't happen. Like it was just like a dream.
Yeah. It is.
But Vince and I, we were together on the road. Like I said, I wish I had spent more time with him, because he was basically. I mean, let's face it. Till the day all of us die, Vince McMahon is the WWE, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh.
even though there's so many people working there and there's so many layers,
Yeah.
it always goes back to Vince, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Whatever with the merger and whatever else is going on out there,
Right.
it's always going to be
It-
Vince.
the Vince McMahon show, right?
Even with the creepy mustache, it's still going to be Vince.
I don't care what happens in Stanford and the WWE, Vince McMahon
Yeah.
is always going to be
That's it.
front and center.
Yeah.
Even if he had nothing to do with it. That's what I'm saying. He's
And
just-
God forbid when Vince is gone, there's always going to be a McMahon who goes back to his grandfather,
Shane
to
has
his
some
dad.
flair, but no, there's only one Vince McMahon.
Oh,
You know, I mean, Shane could try,
Yeah.
and Shane had a good career.
yeah.
I was impressed. I mean, when he was training me, I never thought, as a host, I wouldn't think in a million years the guy one day would try all these high-risk maneuvers.
Oh, my God.
I didn't know that he had that in him. First of all, Shane's a big man.
Yeah.
So to me, someone 6'2", 6'3", flying off the top,
Yeah. The top of the Titantron or whatever it was back in the day, yeah.
you could die from that.
Of course.
And I give him full kudos for
Yeah.
having the guts to do it.
Yeah.
Because when you meet Shane, you don't think right away, okay, this guy looks like a great athlete.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't believe this was the guy that I spent a lot of time with, and he's that in 5 years he'd be doing that,
Yeah.
or less than 5 years.
It became like an attraction because you knew you were going to get something crazy out of Shane. He didn't wrestle all the time, but when he did, you knew you were going to get something ridiculous.
The best thing that happened to Vince was Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Those were the two. If I had to point to two moments,
Yeah.
that's when he got lucky with those two.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, he couldn't have Backlund and Iron Sheik be the champions.
No.
It was too vanilla. It was
Yeah.
too, what do they call it, milk toast?
Milk toast, yes.
It was,
Yeah.
you needed Hogan.
Yeah.
You needed a Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And Vince had to get into the ring because he was so recognizable that the fans just got a roar that he was attacked.
Yeah, and it's funny because I started watching a little before you did, probably late 70s, and Backlund was champion. Bruno Sammartino was I idolized Bruno.
Right.
But he was kind of semi-retired at that point. But when I was a kid, I thought Bob Backlund was like the greatest champion and everything, 'cause that was my guy when I was like 8 years old. And now you watch some of those matches back, and like you said, yeah, you needed like a Hogan. That place came alive. They still popped for Backlund at Madison
Bob
Square
was
Garden.
too goody-goody.
Yes.
Yeah, he was too plain Jane.
Yeah. He would have been, I think, a perfect world champion in the AWA. That was like Vern Gagne's kind of guy. Obviously, he had some training with Vern. Vince Sr. Was a big fan of Backlund. But when you talk about Hogan and what they needed something like that. Think about the guy that Backlund took it from, Superstar Billy Graham, who was like a heel,
Right.
but the fans loved him. And it was just, and they took that title off him real quick and put it on to Backlund. And I know Superstar, God rest his soul, he just passed away. Was very bitter about that because he had the fans behind him. He's like, wait, you want me to lose to this all-American goody good?
Right.
And, and the rest is history. But
Yeah.
you're dead on, though, with in the 80s, Hogan, the 90s, Austin.
Right.
Just
and
changed everything.
I want to share with you my biggest thrill as a WWF person was when I first saw Hulk Hogan body slam Andre the Giant. When I saw that, that was probably the first biggest thrill I ever had as a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
I can still picture it.
Yeah. WrestleMania 3.
I'm sure they practiced it a lot.
Yep.
I'm sure Andre helped him a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
If Andre didn't want to go up for you, he didn't go up for you.
Yeah,
So.
and you can get light on somebody.
Sure.
If you wanted to stage it and somebody wants to body slam you,
Yeah.
there's a way you can get light for them.
Sure.
Say, okay, I'm going to loosen up here. Just
Yeah.
make sure the technique looks real.
Yeah.
But that was probably my first and most memorable wrestling moment. Was that moment when Andre the Giant was body slammed by Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. I remember that was right at the beginning of, I think that was the first WrestleMania I watched on pay-per-view.
Is that when it happened?
Because it was
I thought I saw it on Channel 9, actually. You may be right.
at midnight. No, I mean,
Right.
are you talking pre-WrestleMania body slam?
I don't remember. I just
Okay.
remember when I saw it. Maybe
I'm
it was a
old. I
maybe-
remember
maybe
too
it was a
much stuff.
highlight. I just remember. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, when Hogan was managed by Fred Blassie around that 1980 time frame, he did have a feud with Andre. They had a big match at Shea Stadium in the summer of 1980, and that's when Hogan was using the loaded elbow pad and busted Andre open on TV. But that was heel Hogan,
Right.
babyface Andre. When you talk about that body slam, I think about photographer Steve Taylor, who's going to be here with us. I said it last night in his induction speech, that iconic moment of just Andre being body slammed in front of 93,000 at WrestleMania. It was just something special, and Andre was something special.
And do you remember? This is one of my other favorite skits. Was when Bob Backlund fought Greg the Hammer Valentine at Madison Square Garden. They both were wearing yellow trunks.
Yeah,
The referee got knocked out, and then Backlund pinned Valentine, and Valentine put his arm up. The referee didn't even know what happened, and he gave the belt to Valentine.
yeah,
And then they suspended the belt.
yes.
Great shtick.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
That was not, yes, and I remember because there was I don't want to say controversy or drama, but it was almost like the title was vacated.
That's right.
Because then I believe the president, I can't remember his last name, the figurehead president of WWF, being at the next show at Madison Square Garden, and
The
Backlund,
placeholder?
yeah, come on, and
Just to point anybody,
Yeah.
John Smith.
yeah, John Smith.
Who doesn't even exist.
John Smith came out with the title. But I just remember it just being awkward that Backlund didn't come to the ring with the title.
And then that night they go, we have to do an investigation. There's nothing to investigate. we just saw the whole thing.
Of course. They just
What
wearing
investigation?
yellow trunks.
Valentine cheated.
So you were probably watching that on the MSG network.
MSG, I remember, okay, as a kid in the early 80s, Warner Wolf,
Yeah.
sportscaster,
Yeah.
he was the only one that would show wrestling at the Garden
I remember.
once a month.
Yeah, I remember
And he
seeing
would-
clips.
And he would always play like this circus music underneath it.
Yeah.
And I thought that kind of took away from it a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But Warner Wolf, to me, was my hero growing up as a sportscaster. Let's go to the videotape. He would show things that no one else had.
Yeah.
He was so ahead of his time. And it's amazing how we don't have more Warner Wolves in this country when sports is fun, but yet you have so many boring sportscasters get jobs.
Yeah. Well, hey, I just like that you were a wrestling fan that worked for a wrestling company, and you weren't a
And
supermodel.
by the way, I had the worst tryout too. I never even told anyone this. My tryout at Stanford it's a miracle I got the job. When I walked out of there that day after my horrible audition, I said, I have a better chance becoming pregnant than getting this job. I literally said that to myself.
Yeah.
And I got the job. Sometimes in life things don't make sense,
Yeah.
but that's life.
Well, like I said, you had an opportunity that plenty would kill to have. So, and I'm glad your film career is going well. I'm excited to have you over there in the big room meeting and greeting with the fans, seeing some old friends, hopefully, and
Right.
hopefully we see more Charlie Minn on the wrestling circuit.
Never say never.
You're in the encyclopedia, my friend. Don't forget that.
And I didn't know that until Nick Christie told me that
Yeah.
a few months ago.
Yeah.
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 He said, Charlie, this is prestigious. And I said, it is?
I got a feeling we're going to see you at more WrestleCons and other things in the future. So I can see that passion for the business in you.
We'll see. We'll see. I certainly have a lot of stories.
Awesome. Charlie Minn, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All Access Entertainment Fan Fest.